Hello and welcome to the Soulful Goddess Living Podcast. My name is Tirra Omilade, and I use ancient wisdom to educate and empower women to unlock the goddess within so they can liberate themselves from trauma and limiting beliefs while stepping into their power, aligning to their life purpose, and creating a goddess-centered lifestyle. It's all about you, goddess, and I am so happy that you are here today. Enjoy this latest episode of my podcast. Greetings, how are you today? This is again Tirra Omilade, and I want to talk to you a little bit about a question that came after I made the post or the podcast about relationships. Relationships are so important, so much so that in astrology, we have 3 relationship houses, and we have planets that dictate our relationships. There's a lot about relationships in astrology, and being human beings, it's like to be human is to be in relationship with other people. And in particular, I want to talk about love relationships because it is something that I talk about quite a lot with women who either coach with me or get readings. This is a major topic for a lot of women. And I do think that a lot of women struggle. I do think that there is a little bit of a special circumstance that I often like to address for Black women in particular. And so that is another reason that I am making these recordings. It's because I want to do everything I can to help the women out there who want love to find love. And so the question that came the last time was, how do I let a man take lead? Sometimes, especially Black women, we are looked at as masculine. And there's this whole thing right now about women being submissive. And I don't think that's just a Black thing. I think it's just men are really struggling with women finally stepping more into our power, and those of us in the Western world, we're not going back. There may be some that are okay with that, but the majority of us are like, no, I'm good being in my power. And men, either one of two things, they're going to adjust or it's going to be really hard for them. They'll think that we are being masculine, that we are less attractive. I've heard so many different things. I can barely listen to this kind of talk about women because it makes me so angry. But I know Black women a lot of times, there's so many different circumstances that make Black women step up to the plate. To a certain degree, we are really and truly the thermostat in the room, the thermostat in our culture, in our communities, because we understand if things go bad, it's even worse for us. And so a lot of times we're going to take initiative. We're going to do quite a bit because it's kind of like, hey, my kids are depending on me. My community is depending on me. And we have the wherewithal to step up. Doesn't mean that we always want to be taking action and leading like that. In a way, we were the original women. And so I don't know, I can't quite figure if it's kind of like this is just in our blood. We are leaders. So many of us, maybe not all of us, but so many of us, we're leaders. We're not afraid to step up and do what is needed. And then how much of this has been demanded of me. Now, again, this is not unique to Black women, but I do want to just acknowledge that because I, as a Black woman, know that I feel like nobody actually really speaks up for us. It's rare that we hear people that are taking the time to say, Black women are strong, they're great. They often are maligned for just trying to live like the rest of us. We sometimes feel like, we're in last place when it comes to everything, when it comes to people caring and getting a break and taking it easy. So I have to just really say we do have a little bit of a unique circumstance within our group, but what I'm sharing applies to anyone that may be a take charge woman and you get told you just don't know how to be a woman, you don't know how you're too overbearing for a man, and how do you let a man take a lead? So I will not say exactly probably what people think I'm going to say because I'm like, yeah, we don't let a man we let a man lead in his way, we let him be in charge of his life, his choices and his decisions, but there's never a time where we just completely and totally turn our lives over and just be like, I'm gonna let this man just lead my life. I believe that the modern couple doesn't want that. I believe that the modern couple knows how to switch gears where one is the lead, the other one falls back, doesn't matter the gender, and then vice versa. Who's stronger in what area, then let that person take the lead. Always, all couples need to be the individuals in each couple needs to be in charge of themselves. Everyone is responsible for himself, herself, okay? And I know I'm speaking in the, male, female, because that's what I know the best, but it doesn't matter, the genders in the relationship. It's each person in that relationship, that love relationship, needs to stay in charge of themselves. They need to realize that they are responsible for themselves. There's always one that will blame the other for something. It's just how it is in relationships. And then eventually we all get to the point where it's just like, you know what? Ultimately, I am responsible for my part of this relationship and how we show up in that relationship, then becomes I'm making a decision to show up this way. I'm making a decision to be in this relationship and navigate it in the best way that I can. And so for it, I don't think it's so much about dropping back and letting the man take the lead. I do believe that there is something around recognizing that man, just kind of like letting him do what he wants. I'll give you an example. So early on in our marriage, I would do things like, okay, and it wasn't cognitive. I mean, it wasn't like I was actually really thinking about this. It was more subconscious. So I am the one that knows what's best for us to eat. And I can't tell you how many times, even to this day, my husband would be like, "You don't tell me what to eat." It cracks me up. I love that me and my husband have a little bit of, well, a whole lot of humor, and I realize humor in a relationship will get you very far. So, yeah, he's like, "Nope, you don't tell me what to eat." And to me, that's when I need to just let him do what he wants to do. He wants to make his own choices about what, and I put this in quotes, traditionally is what the woman does. The woman knows best about what we eat, right? Now are there times when my husband and I have conversations and I share what I know and he's like, "Oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to do that." Of course. But I just began to realize it's kind of like there's this way that we've been kind of reared, like this is what a woman does for a husband. And or yeah, so then we'll kind of do those things and it's like we have to kind of be aware, like, does this man like to be nurtured? Or is he kind of good? Like he's kind of unto himself. That's my husband. And when it came to parenting, here's a really good example from my marriage. I initially started out as the parent who was like, I want to hold my babies, pick them up, have them sleep with me, nurse them, be this gentle parent. And he was more initially like, hey, when they get older, I'm going to spank them. And he just kind of had a little bit more of like what he saw his parents and maybe other parents when we were growing up doing, he thought that was okay. And I was vehemently opposed to a lot of how children like let children cry it out, that kind of thing. I was vehemently opposed to it. And we had to have a discussion because he was kind of like thinking, especially with our first son, like I was just gonna like mess up with the baby. And I had to say, hey, you know, this is my thing. And I want to be able to parent the way that I want to parent. And I don't want to be told what to do. And so, he was like, all right, you right, show you right. But by the same token, I didn't tell him what to do. And I mentioned in that other video that he was like, I know what I'm doing. Now, I may not do things exactly like Tyra, but I love my children and I don't need anybody treating me like I don't know how to take care of my children. To me, that's what it means to let a man take the lead. But if me and my husband disagree, we should be able to have a conversation. I think every couple, if you don't agree, there needs to be a discussion. And the couple should be having a way to come up with, how do we settle disagreements? And there needs to be a balance in who's conceding. It's just how it is. When you're in a relationship, you're going to make a concession. One person should not be making all the concessions. So we have to find that balance because I don't see my husband as like, oh, I got to let Craig take the lead. It's like we get together, we troubleshoot, and all of this is a choice. All of this is a choice. Craig was raised up in this society where men could be, misogynistic and domineering towards women, and he just has made a choice. That's not how he wants to be. He don't want to be that way. And so he's made a choice to, quell anything in him that is that way. And I have made a decision. This is how I show up as a woman in a relationship. Now I'm a softie. I'm not trying to be yelling and screaming. I don't like that. That's not me. But Craig will tell you, Tyra can be very difficult because once I make it up in my mind that something is for me, I'm not budging. Once I make a decision, I'm going to do something, I am going to do it. And so it takes growth and each person in the couple working on themselves to be able to negotiate this. And I also believe every woman has the man that's for her because some women just are strong. It's just how it is. They come across as strong. They have fiery energy, and more than likely, being with a man who's exactly the same way isn't going to compliment her. She might need a man who's a little bit softer, a little bit more watery, probably has less you know, misogyny in him than most men, and just doesn't feel like it takes away from his manhood if he's dealing with a woman who is strong and somewhat domineering, but that's what she was born with that energy for a reason. She more than likely came here to be a leader, to be an agent of change. And so that's just how it is. And women like that can find a man. You just have to find the one who complements that energy. Okay? So letting a man take the lead is something that I don't ever say. Let a man be a man. You might hear me say that. If we are at a store and well, I don't even have to try. Some people might try to do something about their husband, but me, I don't get involved. If Craig's got something going on, let a man be a man. Let him figure it, talk about it. I'm not jumping in. The only thing I'm making sure is I keep Craig cool, cool, cool. Because my husband he's very peaceful, but don't cross him. So I just try to keep it so that if somebody crosses them, the rep it's not too bad. It doesn't play out too bad, you right? Um, let a man be a man. That would be more of what it's more to me of just let him be who he is and guide and direct his own life. and I am supportive of him. So, a good example, my husband is a Christian pastor. I don't know why I said Christian pastor. My husband is a pastor of a church, and, he yeah, I support him. It's like, I'll ask him how things are going, um, how was the sermon? Sometimes he'll need to kind of, like, run it past me, or I don't know, he just kind of I listen to it when he preaches on Sunday. They stream it on Facebook, and I listen, and I tell him what I thought about, and, I care, and I'm just really supportive of what he's doing. He loves going out camping, and sometimes he might do a trip with the Boy Scouts where they're gone. It's in New Mexico, this special place where Boy Scouts can go for, like, 2 weeks, and I'm just like, "This is great. Go for it." To me, that's what it means to let a man take a lead. Let him be in charge of his life. That man is not gonna be in charge of my life. I'm taking the lead in my life. That's just how it is, and we'll figure out how to have that Venn diagram where we both have the things in our lives that we love. We're in charge of ourselves, but then there's the middle part that involves both of us, and we just make agreements about what that looks like, and it should feel good. We should feel safe. We should feel safe with a man, and a man should feel safe with his woman, right? Respected. We are a new generation of people, and so all the old ways that's mm-mm. And yeah, it's not flying. It's just not flying. We are redefining relationships. And I'll never forget, there's this man named Gary Zukav, and he wrote this book. I think it's called Soul Stories, but he wrote it about relationships. And in this book, he talks about the old man and the old woman and how they were largely together for survival. And then he starts talking about how, like, the new man or the new woman being with the old man or the old woman. And it can work because the new man or woman is about growth and evolution, and the relationship is something that helps them to grow, and it's not just about survival. It's like, how are we connecting, and do we have similar interests, and how can we grow together in life? And so when you have the old man with the new woman, I'm just gonna make it simple and say just one with the other, then it can work as long as the old man doesn't try to change the new woman, and the new woman doesn't try to change the old man. If they could just accept each other, it can work. And then there's gonna be the new man with the new woman, and that is the couple that I'm talking about. That Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit nowadays where some of us are kind of like, yeah, it's easier to be in a relationship with someone and share bills. That's nice. Um, but there's still something about, like, are we interesting to each other? And how do we grow together? How do we continue to evolve? And what does that look like? Right? So that is where we're headed. And with the new man and the new woman, or the new woman, excuse me. Yeah. Yeah. With the new man and the new woman, because they're the same. We are not here to control and dominate, because this thing is about evolution. There's no one bowing down to the other. There's no submission ever, ever. I will never teach a woman submit ever, ever. Did I say ever? So, but we all have to actually kinda get that out of us too. We have all this programming in us, and so, yeah, I'm gonna make another recording because I want this one to not be super long, about a solution that I think is really important for a lot of women, and it's about, sometimes you just gotta go find that man, and he may not look or be like what you thought he was going to look and be like. but I'm going to share that in the next one. So I hope that this has been helpful to you and will help to give you some guidance as you continue to navigate relationships and maybe even accept that maybe the some of the men you've been with have been not really about taking a lead in the sense that it would be something that's beneficial for both of y'all. And you said no because you were like, this ain't right. I want you to feel good about that decision, but we're going to find your man. We're going to help you find your man. Okay. We're going to help you find your man. So, yeah, understand your energy as a woman. Some of us are not confrontational, and some men are not confrontational. Some women are stronger, confrontational. Some men are stronger, confrontational. And it's so nice to have that complementary energy. A man who is softer and more gentle, yet still strong and willing to be in charge of himself in his life and show up and, you know, do his part for the relationship and the family is a good choice. We just have been so programmed that men who are a little bit softer, when I'm talking softer, I'm just saying this man is chill. We're not talking about somebody who's not willing to, handle his life and be in charge of his life. Um, yeah, we have to kind of begin to appreciate those kinds of men. And especially if we have that stronger energy, just like men will find out just because a woman seems to be a little bit less confrontational, F around and find out. We will get what we want just because we don't yell about it doesn't mean we're pushovers. So it's like know yourself and it'll kind of help you to understand who you will do best for and you can begin to start looking for that man. And then, y'all can continue to work on your relationship and evolve together. And each person is bringing something beautiful to the relationship and they're taking responsibility for themselves. And then whatever their part is for the couple. Hope this is helpful. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you for listening, and I would love it if you got something from this podcast to please give the podcast a like. Please share the podcast. And if you have more questions about relationships, it is one of my dreams to share whatever I know with the hopes of helping other women have loving, healthy relationships. So let me know your questions. And wishing you a wonderful day. All right, Queen, be well. Hey, Queen, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to like this episode and hit that subscribe button so that you are notified of all my new releases. Also, be sure to follow me on YouTube and Instagram and download my Goddess Mini Toolkit, which has all the tools to support you right away in your goddess-centered lifestyle. You'll see all the details right there in the description box. Hey, you have a wonderful day. Be well, sister.